According to me, phoneglyphs look extremely similar to Sumerian tablets. So phoneglyphs tell parts of history and provide information that lead to ancient weapons and the One Piece. We've seen phoneglyphs in Skypiea and have also seen the glyphs in Enel's cover story on the drawings that Enel finds on the moon. I used to think that the phoneglyphs were related to Egypt, especially since we first learned about them in Alabasta, but here are some character comparisons with Sumerian tablets. On the cover story images, we can see that the winged beings created the small robots that Enel encounters on the moon, along with their images on the wall. These drawings, the phoneglyphs, the sky races, king, and even Bon Clay all look like they may have been inspired by Sumerian mythology. Not to mention Luffy's now confirmed sun god status. The inspiration may even include the boat in Fishman Island, awaiting for the right time to be carried by sea monsters. And now that we know why it looks related to One Piece, let's bring in the mythology. Ancient Sumer was situated in the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates River. Excavations were set in order to determine if the Bible stories were legit, and they spanned from 1840 to 1900. They found 30,000 clay tablets from where would have once stood the library of Ashurbanipal in modern-day Nineveh, Iraq. On one of the real-life tablets was written the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was king of Uruk and appears on one of the tablets that lists the Sumerian kings, with him being the metaphorical line between the historical and mythical rulers. He was the offspring of a god and a human. These offsprings are called the Nephilim. They are significantly taller, stronger, and have long lifespans. In this part of the story, he is on his search for immortality. The first part of his epic will be included in another video. Gilgamesh finds a survivor of the Great Flood, Upnapishtim, granted immortality by one of the Sumerian gods, who, word says, had caused the flood because there were too many humans and too much noise. The immortal tells him to have control over his sleep, and that avenue didn't work out, so he tells him to go underwater and find the plant that would do the job. Gilgamesh finds it, leaves it aside to take a bath, and it gets stolen by a snake, who now acquired the skill of shedding. He learns to deal with his mortality, writes his story on a lapis lazuli tablet, and buries it for posterity. Now back to those tablets that were found in Nineveh. They have been determined to be 4,200 years old, and some of these tablets detail a flood. Few ice samples have been able to confirm that a flood did indeed happen around 5000 BC. And the story of the flood is in the Enuma Elish, which is a story of creation for Sumerians, which could potentially tie back to Fishman Island and many other characters. What's written on these tablets are more like stories and lists, but the ones we're going to talk about now are called the Tablets of Destiny, and in Ninurta's story, the tablet had the power to turn back time. We're going to talk about King Solomon briefly in order to tie in a few things with the ancient weapons. King Solomon would have used runes taught to him by one of his foreign wives, who was apparently of Sumerian descent, and learned the words to control jinns. Jinns are demons and usually require a sacrifice to be summoned and used. The jinns were then ordered to build monuments for him. Solomon had a temple which would have held special items. This temple was then pillaged by Nebuchadnezzar 400 years later during the siege of Jerusalem. There he would have found a stargate with a tablet. Stargates would be portals, and the tablet would contain the instructions on how to operate it. Other items were said to have been in the temple, like the Holy Grail, containing the elixir of life, the Turin Shroud, which is Jesus' cloth, which were apparently found by the Templar Knights in medieval times. The Temple of Solomon would have apparently housed the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the 10 Commandments, but it would have been taken prior to the siege of Jerusalem. I'll make another video containing the story of the Enuma Elish, the Sumerian gods, and also a little bit of Inanna's descent. I learned a lot about Sumerian culture from watching the following videos in the webography. I learned the most about Sumerian archaeological finds from Bright Insight, who was actually in Nineveh, Iraq in 2009 and 2010. The statue in the picture is unfortunately now destroyed. Bright Insight posts a lot of archaeological content, and with this content has gathered some evidence of a potential worldwide civilization I would love to talk to you about in the next video. I highly recommend watching his content if you like archaeology and history. Final point, Marshall D. Preach and 333 Evil made a video comparing One Piece and Egyptian mythology. I loved it, it's really on point. I'm going to link it below. Sumerian gods and Egyptian gods are very similar, and I'm looking forward to talking about the Sumerian gods in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Have a good day.